Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello dear friends, welcome back to Spiritism and the Media here on Kardec Radio. Today I'd like to bring for us a text from the book Happy Life by Joana de Angelis, channeled by Divaldo Franco. Usually I keep this book to the last minutes of our meeting here, but today I would like to bring this lesson and to think a little bit about it and how we can relate this lesson to how we act in our daily lives. And then I will read another teaching from another book in the final minutes. So the lesson that I brought is number 48. So here Joana de Angelis says, "Listen carefully and attentively. Don't rush to interrupt as if you already understood. Some people struggle to express themselves, so they are hard to comprehend. After listening, discuss the matter to make sure you have grasped it, if circumstances allow. Good listeners have better comprehension. Listening is an art that is seldom practiced." So let's see this lesson again little by little. So basically she's talking about the importance of listening. So of listening when we are talking to someone else. We can relate that when we are talking to a person or to a group of people, when we are in any social situation, when we need to listen to a speech, for example, when we need to pay attention to a class at school. It's another example. And we can also relate that when we are watching TV, when we are watching some videos online, how important it is for us to listen, as she says here, carefully and attentive. And the second part here, don't rush to interrupt if you already understood. Because that's true, that's something that very often happens when we are, for example, watching to any kind of video online. For example, we may watch for the first minutes or many times for the first 30 seconds, and then we think we understood everything that person wanted to say, and then we skip to the next video. Or we can be watching the TV, we are watching the news, and we see some part of the newscast, and we think, okay, now I already know what they are saying here, let's skip and let's watch something else. And as she says here, many times we rush to interrupt that. So not only when we are talking to someone, it also happens. We're talking to someone and we think we already know what the person wants to say, and we interrupt that person and we change the subject. That's very rude. So of course, first of all, it's very rude to do something when we are face to face to someone else, but also when we are in the situation online, when we are in a situation that the other person, even if the other person cannot see us, it's something that not only is rude to skip what that person is saying, but it may bring us some consequences, because many times we do not understand what the person wants to say and we take false conclusions. And what are the consequences of that? Because we may, after that, we may start spreading that information in a wrong way. So we may spread fake news, or we may spread misinformation, because if we do not listen attentively to all that person wants to say, and if we do not understand that, we may be quoting that person in a wrong way. So many times the person has, as many of us, we do have a certain way of building our ideas. So if we have 30 minutes to talk, it means that we have 30 minutes to build our ideas until the conclusion. So if we do not wait until the conclusion, many times we won't see all the ideas that the person has to build. So that's important for us when we are watching lectures. For example, it's very easy for us to skip a lecture or to listen to the first 10 minutes of the lecture, and then we think that we already know what that person wanted to say, we already know the conclusions that the person has. But if we do not wait until the conclusion, how can we be sure that we already know that? And Joana de Angelis also says here that some people struggle to express themselves, so they are hard to comprehend. So let's put ourselves in other people's shoes. So many times they struggle, as we do struggle many times, to make our comments or to put our ideas in the right places, depending on the subject, depending on the topic. Maybe we have for us it's easier in this topic, but not in that one. So let's put ourselves in the other person's shoes and imagine, okay, maybe that person is struggling to give the idea they want to give, to say what they want to say. So let's keep us a moment to really understand that and to let that person to fully say what they want to say. So it's very important that as well. Let's always put ourselves in other people's shoes when we are also listening to that. Not only because many times they may be facing a personal problem and they want any kind of advice, or they want just to tell what's going on in their lives. So we also need to be sympathetic to that, to have this empathy. So it's very important to listen to all the words that the person wants to say for that as well. And here then Joanna says, after listening, discuss the matter to make sure you have grasped it if circumstances allow. So discuss that, like question that person. If you have any doubt, let's question. If we don't understand something, let's ask that person again, because it's the best thing is to ask those questions instead of keeping those doubts, because later on those doubts, many times if we understand something in a wrong way, we will think that that's the right thing, and we will be spreading, as I said before, some misinformation or some fake news, for example. So the best way is also to question. If we have any doubts, let's question, let's ask that. Again, it's as if we were in a classroom, the teacher is explaining us a new topic to us. If you do not understand, we raise our hands and ask those questions if the circumstances allow, as Joanna de Angelis is saying here. And good listeners have better comprehension. If we know how to listen, we'll know how to understand. It will make our lives easier. And listening is an art that is seldom practiced. So it's also an art. Many times we talk here about the art of talking, of speaking, how we use those words as an art as well, but the opposite is also true. Listening is also an art. We need to practice that. We need to understand how to do that, how to listen well, because it's not only good to us, but it's also good to the person who is talking, because we are also demonstrating that we respect that person and that we are listening, that we are giving that person the opportunity to express what they are feeling and all the ideas that they have. So now, as I brought the Happy Life in the beginning of our meeting here, now I'm bringing this other book, also by Joanna de Angelis, channeled by Divaldo Pereira Franco, Recipes for Peace. So I'm opening this book randomly, and we have here Haste, number 5. So here I read the first 2 pages here. So Joanna de Angelis says, impulsiveness is the cause of many iniquities that afflict humanity. Anxious behavior leads to states of disturbance, generating perfectly avoidable suffering. Beneath the stigma of anxiety, attitudes are incorrect, fomenting inadequate results for inner edification. For this very reason, the practice of calmness is indispensable for a harmonious journey vis-a-vis the perplexities imposed by modern time. Patience teaches to await the results of any accomplishments which cannot be anticipated. The rhythm of time is unalterable, and this is why things happen naturally within time spans that cannot be changed. At the instance of haste, man hears and sees by way of the form vision, which disturbs matter even further, and with clouded discernment that he plunges over cliffs of misfortune. There is a time to sow, and therefore, understandably, a time for harvesting will also come. It is useless to try to precipitate the facts of life between germination and the filling out of the grain. In the moral field, the mechanism is similar. Each phase has its own period of time, each occurrence its proper moment. Thank you so much for your company. May God bless all of us, and see you next week.